Tales from Nowhere.
The dashboard clock glowed 11:47 p.m. when Anna Denver realized she hadn't seen another car for almost an hour. The road cut like a ribbon through endless cornfields, the stalks towering and swaying on both sides, whispering as the cool October wind passed through. The only light came from her headlights, two narrow beams tunneling through the black. Everything beyond them was shadow, deep, solid, and quiet. She was used to the late-night drive home from the diner. Usually, the familiar country road brought her peace. But tonight, it felt different. The air felt heavier, the dark thicker. The trees that broke through the fields looked like tall, crooked figures standing sentinel at the edge of her vision. Anna glanced at her phone. The screen stayed black. Dead battery. She sighed. Of course, she muttered, dropping it into the cup holder. The diner had been slow all night, a few regulars, a long cleanup, then one last customer who lingered too long. All she wanted now was her warm bed, her husband's steady breathing beside her. She pressed a little harder on the gas. Then, the radio flickered. Static hissed, swallowing the country song halfway through a chorus. The light on the dial dimmed once, twice, and died. "Come on," she whispered, tapping the dashboard. The headlights flickered too. The car jerked, sputtered, and coasted forward before letting out one long mechanical sigh. The engine stopped. Anna's heart dropped. The silence that followed was absolute, no radio, no hum of tires, not even crickets. Only the faint moan of wind moving through the corn. She turned the key again. Click. Nothing. Again. Click. "Please don't do this to me now," she whispered, trying not to panic. The third time, the car gave a weak cough before dying completely. The dashboard light faded to black. Anna exhaled, gripping the steering wheel. She looked out the window. On both sides, cornfields. The road behind her stretched endlessly into darkness. No houses. No lights. No hope of help. She swallowed hard, her pulse quickening. "Stay calm," she told herself. "You'll figure it out." She thought about walking, but the night pressed too close. The cornfield looked alive, moving even when the wind stopped. The shadows between the stalks were too deep, too thick. She decided to wait a few minutes. Someone would come by eventually. Someone always did. Anna leaned back in her seat, letting out a shaky breath. The air inside the car felt oddly cold now, colder than before. She rubbed her arms, trying to warm herself. Then she heard it. Crunch. The sound was faint, like a footstep on gravel, just behind the car. Her breath caught. She turned the key instinctively, though she knew it wouldn't work. Crunch. This time closer. Anna's hands trembled. She slowly reached over and pressed the lock button. The doors clicked shut, loud in the silence. "Hello?" she called, her voice cracking. "Is someone there?" No answer. She turned toward the rearview mirror. Her own face stared back, pale, eyes wide. Behind her, the faint outline of the road disappeared into darkness. Nothing moved. She let out a nervous laugh. "Get a grip, Anna. It's just..." Tap. A sharp sound hit the back window. She froze. Tap. Tap. She spun around, staring into the rear glass. Nothing there. Only the reflection of her own frightened eyes. Her breath fogged the window. She reached to wipe it, and stopped. There, just beyond the edge of the reflection, something moved. A shadow, low to the ground, slipping between the corn rows. Anna's stomach dropped. She leaned forward, squinting. The fog outside shifted, like someone had exhaled against the window from the outside. The smell hit her then, faint but distinct. Rot. Like wet soil and old metal. She gagged, covering her mouth. Crunch. Crunch. The footsteps circled now, slow and deliberate, as if whoever, or whatever, it was wanted her to know she wasn't alone. Her hands shook as she fumbled for her purse, searching for the small flashlight she kept for emergencies. She found it, clicked it on, and the beam flickered weakly, barely piercing the dark. She aimed it toward the cornfield. Rows upon rows of stalks waved, whispering together. Then one of them bent slightly, not with the wind, but as if brushed aside by a hand. The flashlight began to dim. "Please," she whispered, eyes welling up. "Please go away." Thump. The roof of the car shuddered violently. Anna screamed, ducking down between the seats. The flashlight rolled onto the floor, its beam spinning wildly. Another thump. Then silence. Her breath came in short gasps. Her ears rang with the sound of her own heartbeat. Minutes passed, or maybe seconds. Then she heard the whisper. So soft she almost thought she imagined it. Her name. Anna. It came from the cornfield. From everywhere. And nowhere. She dared a glance out the windshield, and froze. In the faint glow of the dying headlights, a figure stood between the corn rows. Tall. Still. Watching. The voice came again, just a whisper carried on the wind. "Come out." The whisper seemed to seep through the glass, as though the night itself were breathing her name. Anna. She stared at the figure in the headlights. It didn't move. Didn't sway or flinch. It just stood there, its edges blurring slightly in the fog. The longer she looked, the less human it seemed, too tall, too thin, its limbs hanging wrong, like they'd forgotten how to belong to a body. Her throat tightened. She reached for the handle, but stopped herself. No. Stay in the car. Stay inside. The figure tilted its head, slow and deliberate. Then. Blink. It was gone. Anna's flashlight flickered one final time and died, leaving her in total darkness. The car interior was so still she could hear the faint pop of cooling metal. Her breath fogged up the window again, each exhale louder than she meant it to be. She gripped the steering wheel like it could anchor her, but her hands were slick with sweat. Something brushed against the side of the car. A soft scrape. Like fingertips gliding across the door. Her pulse pounded in her ears. "Who's there?" she whispered. No response. Just the rustle of the cornfield. Then, right beside her ear, through the glass. Tap. Anna screamed, shoving herself backward. Her elbow hit the horn, but it made only a weak, dying croak. The battery was gone, too. Her car keys trembled in her shaking hand as she tried the ignition again. Nothing. Not even a click. And then, silence again. The stillness felt wrong now. Like the air itself was holding its breath. Minutes crawled by. Finally, she dared to look out the window again. The road was empty. The headlights had dimmed to a faint orange glow. The corn stood motionless in perfect rows. Anna forced herself to move. She grabbed the flashlight again, shook it, and a dim pulse of light returned, weak but enough to see. She checked the back seat. Empty. Checked her reflection in the rearview. Her own wide eyes stared back, rimmed with tears. She tried to calm herself. It was probably an animal. A coyote. Maybe a deer brushing the car. That's all. She told herself that again and again until her heartbeat slowed. When she finally leaned back, she caught movement in the mirror again, but this time, it was behind her. In the car. She whipped around, but the back seat was empty. Her light shook violently in her trembling hand. "Stop it," she whispered, tears sliding down her cheek. "Please stop." The cold inside the car deepened, seeping into her bones. The smell of rot came back stronger now, thick and cloying, like wet earth and spoiled meat. Her flashlight dimmed again. The beam blinked once, twice, and then focused on the window beside her. There was a handprint there, pressed against the glass from the outside. Not hers. Too big. Too dark. Anna's scream tore through the car. She fumbled with the lock, threw the door open, and bolted into the night. Her shoes sank into mud as she stumbled off the road. Corn stalks brushed against her arms and face as she pushed through them, desperate, gasping, whispering her own prayers under her breath. The rows seemed endless. Each stalk she passed looked the same. She turned left, then right, only to realize she'd been turning in circles. She stopped to listen. Her breathing echoed in her own ears. Then she heard it again, her name. Closer this time. Anna. The voice was hoarse. Wet. As though the throat it came from had forgotten how to speak. She spun around, flashlight beam cutting through the stalks. No one there. But she felt it. Someone was close enough that she could hear the faint click of their tongue, the shallow rasp of a breath not quite human. She took one trembling step backward, and her heel hit something. She looked down. A small, white shape half buried in the mud. Her flashlight beam revealed it fully. A tooth. A human tooth. The air rushed from her lungs. Anna stumbled backward, tripping on a root, the flashlight flying from her hand. The beam spun as it hit the ground, flashing briefly over something standing between the rows. A face. White, expressionless, with dark hollows where eyes should have been. The beam flickered once more, and died. Her scream ripped through the cornfield, swallowed quickly by the night. By morning, the road was quiet again. A truck driver noticed the empty sedan pulled halfway into the ditch. The driver's side door hung open. Mud-caked footprints led from the road into the corn, and then stopped halfway through a row, as if the person who made them had simply vanished. No one saw Anna Denver again that night. Across town, Barty Mc.Goo sat at the kitchen table, half asleep in his chair. The clock read 5:42 a.m. The coffee in his mug had gone cold. He picked up his phone for what felt like the 100th time and checked his messages. Nothing. He dialed her number again. Straight to voicemail. "Hey, it's Anna. Leave a message." Her voice sounded so normal. So alive. "Anna, it's me again," he said, voice trembling. "Please call me. I'm worried sick. Just, call me, okay?" He hung up, staring out the window. The first hints of morning light spilled over the trees. The road beyond looked empty. He whispered, "Please, just come home." Behind him, the wind brushed against the kitchen door. 3 slow knocks. Knock. 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 The police came with flashlights and notebooks, but Barty could tell from their eyes that they didn't expect to find her. They asked the same questions again and again. "When was the last time you saw your wife? Did she seem upset? Had she ever left before?" Barty answered each one the same way, each word like swallowing glass. "She left work around 11. She was tired. That's all. She was just trying to get home." Officer Daniels, a round man with a gentle voice, nodded and made notes he would never read again. They told Barty they'd found the car. Empty. The driver's door was open, keys still in the ignition. Her shoes were missing. There were footprints in the mud, small ones that matched hers, leading into the cornfield. And then they just stopped. They brought in dogs. They found nothing. A helicopter circled overhead for 2 days. Still nothing. After that, people stopped calling. Neighbors left casseroles that went uneaten. Friends stopped dropping by. The house became still, too still. Every night, Barty sat at the kitchen table, staring at his phone, waiting for it to light up. Sometimes he called her voicemail just to hear her voice. "Hey, it's Anna. Leave a message." That voice started sounding wrong after a while. Like it was smiling when it shouldn't be. Like it was waiting. 2 weeks passed. On the 15th night, Barty got into his truck and drove out to the road where they'd found her car. He parked on the shoulder and turned off the engine. The silence hit him like a weight. The cornfield was still standing, tall and black against the cloudy sky. The air smelled faintly of earth and rain. He got out, clutching his flashlight. The wind moved gently through the stalks, whispering just enough to sound like words he couldn't quite make out. He shined the light toward the ditch where her car had been. The tire tracks were still there, half filled with rainwater. Her shoe was still lying near the edge, a small white sneaker, caked in mud. He crouched down and picked it up. It was cold. "I'm here, babe," he whispered, voice trembling. "I'm here." From somewhere deep in the field came a sound. A soft knock. He froze. It came again. 3 of them. Slow, deliberate. He turned toward the corn, the beam of his flashlight trembling in his grip. "Anna?" Nothing. He stepped forward, his boots sinking slightly into the soft dirt. The beam cut through the stalks, catching glimpses of movement, leaves swaying, mist drifting, but no one there. Then, faintly, he heard it. A hum. It was the melody of a song. A lullaby. Anna used to hum it when she was nervous, absent-minded, soft, always the same tune. Now it was coming from the middle of the cornfield. "Anna," he called again, voice cracking. The humming stopped. Silence. Then a whisper came back, clear and sharp, like a breath against his ear. "Come find me." Barty's light sputtered. The air turned colder, the smell of decay rolling in from nowhere. He stepped backward, one hand instinctively going to his chest. His flashlight blinked off completely. The world vanished. He stood there in perfect darkness, heart hammering. And then came the footsteps. Soft. Behind him. He spun around. "Who's there?" The sound stopped. He could hear only his breathing, and something else. Something breathing with him. When the light came back on, he was alone. But there, in the dirt beside his boot, were 3 perfect handprints. Each one facing toward him. The next morning, he went to the diner where Anna had worked. The owner, Mrs. Chalmers, had already heard. She gave him a cup of coffee he didn't drink and told him she'd heard about the road before. "You know that stretch," she said quietly, leaning across the counter. "Used to be called Hollow Road back in the day. Folks said a girl disappeared out there in the 60s. Some people say she still walks between the rows, calling for her mama." Barty stared into his cup. "They found that girl?" Mrs. Chalmers shook her head. "Never did. Just her car. Keys still in the ignition." His skin prickled. That night, Barty couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the field again. He saw the shoe. He heard her voice, soft and wrong. Come find me. Come find me." At 3:17 a.m., he woke to the sound of something knocking on the front door. 3 times. He sat up, his heart stuttering. The house was dark. He went to the door, hand trembling on the knob. He hesitated. When he finally opened it, there was no one there. Just the sound of the wind brushing against the cornstalks at the far end of their yard. And a faint hum, drifting through the air, familiar and haunting. The lullaby again. The next morning, Barty went back to the grocery store for the first time since she'd vanished. His hands shook as he pushed the cart down the aisles, the smallest noises making him jump. When he stepped outside with his bags, sunlight hit his eyes, and for a moment, he felt almost normal again. Until he saw her. Across the parking lot, near the stop sign, a woman stood barefoot, holding a cardboard sign. Her hair hung in tangled strands around her face. Her clothes were filthy. Her eyes, dark and hollow. The sign read, "I'm homeless and in need of some food." Barty's heart stopped. "Anna?" She looked up slowly. The corners of her mouth curled into a faint, almost unfamiliar smile. "Anna, it's me," he cried, running toward her. When he got close, he stopped cold. Her eyes were empty, void of the spark he'd known. There was no recognition. No emotion. She tilted her head. And in a soft, cracked voice, she whispered, "You shouldn't have come looking for me." She followed him home. Barty didn't even think, he just helped her into the truck, wrapped his coat around her, whispered, "You're safe now, baby. You're home." She didn't speak much. Didn't ask where they were going. She just stared out the window as the cornfields rolled by, humming that same tune she used to hum before bed. The lullaby. The one she'd sung the night she disappeared. At the house, he helped her to the couch. Her hands were ice cold. Her nails were cracked and dark beneath the edges. He ran to the kitchen to get her something to eat. When he came back, she was standing in the middle of the living room, still humming, still staring out the window into the night. "Anna," he said softly. "You're safe now. You're home." She turned her head slightly, slow and stiff. "Home," she repeated, voice flat. Then she smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. He made her soup. She didn't touch it. She only dipped her finger into the bowl and watched the steam curl up from the liquid. She didn't seem to feel the heat. "Anna, what happened?" he asked gently. No answer. "Where have you been?" Her lips twitched. Between what? Between the rows. Her tone was childlike, soft and distant, like someone recalling a dream they couldn't quite leave. That night, Barty lay awake in bed. Anna sat in the chair near the window, still humming. Every few minutes she'd stop, tilt her head as if listening, and then start again from the beginning. He turned on the bedside lamp. "Honey, come to bed, please." Her head turned toward him, too slowly. The light hit her face fully for the first time, and his stomach dropped. Her skin was pale and grayish, like she'd been standing under water for days. Her lips had a faint blue tint. And there was something else, something wrong about her reflection in the window. It was smiling wider than she was. The next morning, she was gone. Her soup sat untouched on the table. The front door was open, and the wind carried the faint smell of earth and rot through the house. Barty ran outside. The morning fog hung thick over the yard. And from somewhere far off, too far to be real, he heard her humming again. He followed the sound. Down the dirt road. Past the old fence. To the edge of the cornfield. The stalks swayed slowly, whispering. The same way they had the night she vanished. He stepped forward, heart racing. "Anna?" The humming stopped. "Anna, where are you?" Something moved between the rows, soft, deliberate. A shadow taking shape. He stepped closer. The smell of rot grew stronger. And then, between two stalks, he saw her. But she wasn't standing. She was sitting. In the front seat of her old car. The same car they'd towed days ago. Except it wasn't towed. It was here. The driver's side door was open. Her head rested against the window. Her hair was matted, her clothes damp with soil, her eyes wide and glassy. He stumbled backward. His brain couldn't process it. His heart knew before his mind did. The woman in the house. The one who came back. Wasn't her. From behind him came a voice. "Why'd you come back, Barty?" He turned. She was standing at the edge of the cornfield, the other Anna. Her feet bare and black with mud. Her face expressionless. The same faint smile as before. "I missed you," he whispered, tears spilling down his cheeks. "I just wanted you home." She stepped closer. The air seemed to pull colder with every inch she moved. "Home," she repeated. "You should have stayed away from the road." Her voice wasn't right. It came out in two tones, hers, and something beneath it. Something dry, whispering, old. Barty stumbled backward until his heel hit the open door of the car. He looked down once more at her body inside, the real Anna. Her eyes were wide, staring straight ahead. He looked up again, and the other one was gone. The field around him swayed violently, though there was no wind. The corn hissed and bent as if something enormous was moving through it. He heard her again, right beside his ear, whispering. "Now you're between." Something cold wrapped around his wrist. He screamed. The next morning, a sheriff found both cars parked along the back road. Anna Denver's corpse was discovered in the driver's seat of her old sedan. No sign of Barty Mc.Goo. The only thing left of him were footprints leading from the road into the corn. And halfway through the rows, they stopped. Locals say if you drive that road after midnight with your windows down, you'll hear humming through the corn. Sometimes, if you stop long enough, you'll see a figure standing between the rows, watching. And if you hear a whisper calling your name, don't answer. Because the road between the rows always wants someone new.